This is Lamentation 3 and 27. It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. And I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahak, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who know well, that have taught me well. These blessings and salutations. Thank God for the teaching. All right, and this is just a quick one, just to edify, because it was said, that it was wicked, for it to be said of young men, put the yoke on them. Nothing wrong with putting the yoke on a young man. Matter of fact, it's written in the scriptures. Right? All of our orders and all the things that are said are written. Right? What does it say? These things are written for doctrine, for correction. All right? It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. That's why the scriptures talk about seeking the Lord early. All right, let's get a couple of precepts. And one thing that we have to always keep in our minds and understand, because I'm a young man, I came into the faith, very young and very raw, and I made mistakes. Right? I had certain things that I did that had to be purged out. Right? And it's helped to mold and shape. I'm still not perfect, but it's helped to mold and shape me. And I'm glad that I went through all the experiences that I went through. Okay, the rebuke, the correction, because it helps you and it molds you and it guides you to become stronger and builds up your faith. All right? Hey, that's what you do, man. A friend, somebody who's a mentor. They're going to correct you. They're going to rebuke you. Right? They're going to be stern with you. They might not, always laugh at your jokes or want to be, buddy with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right? This is 1 Timothy 5:1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren. And that's the thing about this ministry, man. This is a business. This is the Lord's business, and this is us returning to our ancient ways of being men. And these men that we read about, they were rough. That's why throughout the scriptures, a lot of these parables or analogies, they refer to different laborers' tasks. Right? Farming. Right? It talks about the harvest. It talks about the threshing floor. It talks about, reaping and sowing and all these different things, because our people understood hard work and discipline. Something that in this kingdom, where Esau, we have to go to him for the one of all things, we've lost a lot of that. Right? And the family unit has been broken up. This kingdom, you can go 5 minutes up the road to Walmart, and you can buy all your food and all your clothing and all that stuff, and then you take your ass back home, and then the average person, they sit up and they just watch TV all day. Right? That in the ancient world, that wasn't the case, man. You had to get up early, you had to work the land, you had to get stuff done. You might own cattle, you might own a lot of different other livestock. You might own acres of land, and you got to work that land. You got to be diligent, right? And you also have to contribute to this ministry, right? Which this ministry is. This is our first job before everything. Right? Before all things, this ministry is supposed to come, and with that comes a yoke. Right? What did Paul say? This is Paul, prisoner of Yahweh Shai. And he was a prisoner, man. This thing, we're captives here, all right? Even though this is the land of unwalled villages, you can drive around, you got a few luxuries. Hey, we're captives in this thing. Right? That's what bearing our yoke is. Right? Hey, that's why there's a lot of, and I'm gonna get to the scriptures you back, I'm just quoting it, but there's a lot of analogies for doing labor too, man. It talks about keep thy eye single. It talks about the plow. Once again, all these things are things of work and discipline, right? And you can't rebuke your elders, just because you get emotional or you might disagree with something that they're saying. You know, no matter if you are considered an up and coming elder or a leader or whatever position you're in. All right, you have to understand that the men who are above you, hey, the scriptures talk about them that keep watch over your souls. Right? These men keep watch over us. Hey, the scriptures talk about old men shall dream dreams. Hey, we don't know the full extent of how the Lord is guiding in the things that He showed these men. But a lot of the things are written and referenced in the scriptures. Right? So it's important for us to, as young men, to bear that yoke and understand that these things are for our good. Right? It doesn't always feel good training and working out and being consistent and having a diet, having to cut back, having to, talking about, in terms of martial arts and these different things. You can't deal with as many women. You know what I'm saying? You got to diet. You got to come in, constantly train. You know what I'm saying? Your technique is constantly being corrected. All right, so everything doesn't feel good, but the whole purpose is when you get in that match, you get in that fight, that you don't get your ass whooped. All right, because you could get in that ring, you could potentially get killed. All right, hey, going out in this world and dealing with these people and dealing with the different aspects of Satan and dealing with the wicked, you could potentially go out here and do some shit and get yourself killed, man. That's why there's a certain seriousness and there's a certain fear that we have to have in dealing with the Lord and dealing with His men. All right, and this world doesn't teach you that, man. They teach us to be a bunch of girly men. All right, hey, this is Sirach 30. Because like we read, so we're supposed to treat these men as fathers, and treat your brethren, treat younger men as brethren. Sirach 30:1, he that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. And a lot of us didn't grow up in the house with fathers, man. We were never beaten by men and receive, that love. Right? Because it's not just about beating your son. Of course you're gonna give him that love too, but you're gonna keep him motivated. Right? That's something that Esau made sure he took away, because he knew and understood. You take the father out the house, you take that guidance out the house. But now the father, hey, that's hey, and it goes back to what does it say? Guiding the directing the father. Let's get that. Malachi 4:5. Behold, and this is a big controversy with certain guys, but here it is. You never met these men, you never heard them speak, you never saw them deal, but you just know, oh no, I don't think this is what it is. Hey, if that's not what it is, it's gonna be revealed. All right, but we're gonna go off of what the Spirit has revealed to the apostles and the elders. Okay, that's just how it goes. Right, and certain things have come out, and the Spirit has revealed certain, new things that were taught before. All right, so a lot of cases, you might feel a certain way about something that comes out, or an understanding of something. Hey, you just gotta wait. Right, the Lord reveals things who He reveals things to. Sometimes He gives it to certain brothers, beforehand. I've even heard it, but you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Do all things decently in order. This is Matthew 4:5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So Elijah the prophet had to have came back on this earth before the times that are coming ahead before the Lord comes and intervenes and gathers his elect. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to the fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. And that's exactly what happened. A man had to guide us back into the ways and the understanding of our fathers. Right? He had to give us an understanding so we understand who our fathers were. And that's exactly what happened at One West. Right? Those men who were the foundation for what the, the, uh, uh, the congregation of Israel is now. Okay, they came up with the 12 tribes breakdown. They came up and received the understanding on all these different important matters before we were ever thought of, and a lot of us were even born. All right. So all these things had to happen, and a man had to fill the shoes for these things. And no, certain things like this, maybe you might not initially understand them or agree with them, right? Because they're higher than your understanding. That's just something that you have to come to terms with. A lot of things sometimes they have to marinate. You gotta go over them and over them. Repetition is the mother of learning. Then you'll see, oh, right, but being hasty and rebuking your elders and you know what I'm saying, casting away the order that the Lord has set up. No, that's not the way you're supposed to do things, man. That's out of order. All right, but if you notice, it said, man, the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers, and that's something that's been lost. That's why people are looking for every way under the sun. They're under every green tree because they don't know who their fathers are, and they don't know who their fathers really worship and who their fathers really serve, because a lot of that information has been hidden, has been destroyed. The faces of the judges have been covered. Right? Hey, you have to put things in perspective and prioritize what's important. Right? This is discipline, man. It's discipline. Discipline don't always feel good. It's not supposed to feel good. Some things are just gonna be bitter. Right, to the kingdom, and then we can see, the fullness of everything. Right, that's what a yoke is, man. That's what it means for us to be servants. But the scriptures also say that our king is our servant. Right, so to Yahweh Shai, he's our servant as well. Right, he's our king, but he serves us as well. Right, he washed the feet of his disciples. Right, so this is not some just a tyrannical thing of lordship. Right, it's a balance to that too, but there still is order. Right, this is Psalms 119. Let's start in 66. It says, "Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Thou art good and doest good. Teach me thy statutes. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart." All right, that's what we're doing, man. We're rehearsing the righteous acts. This is a rehearsal. And of course, we're going to rehearse respect to our fathers, man. You show a certain, it tells you, rise with the hoary head. So that's something that's been lost for a long time, man. Respect for our elders, respect for older men. And when you look at these other nations, he's coming back to the whole martial arts component. You saw with Khabib and his camp, which those guys are taking over the UFC. And his father, and he took it ultra personal when McGregor insulted his father. Because his father, put him in that position, man. The scriptures say what? He that teaches the son, basically your son becomes an avenger for you. Right? Matter of fact, back to Psalms, Sirach 30, I don't think I finished this out. Verse 2, he that chastises his son shall have joy in him and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. Right? So you're not supposed to play, sitting there playing with your son, letting him do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Right? That's what Esau does. And that's why his son grows up to be a damn. Well, we see what's happening, man. They're picking up these different ARs and going to town. I'm not gonna say the word, but you understand. It said, "He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind him that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful." All right? For every man who is great in something, you can look behind him and see a man who instructed him, usually from an early age. All right? That's the way of the world, man. That's how it works. Right? Hey, as a young man, you might be immature, you might not like it, you might like being chastised, but when you get older, you begin to see and understand what it was all about. Right? It says, though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind that is like himself. I say, if something were to happen, Lord forbid we be here for, any other time. But if something were to happen where the apostles and elders were no longer here, we have to take into their stead, then we would have been brought up and chastened and raised and disciplined for us to take over the ministry. All right? That's what, hey, we're being raised up to understand everything. All right? We're being fed too with the sincere milk. All right? It says, while he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. Yeah, because he knows he's leaving somebody behind with understanding. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that should requite kindness to his friends. And that's what these Edomites do. All right, they got their private schools, private mansions, private parties. All right, that's why their sons grow up, and here it is. You've been at the company for 15, 20 years, but his son's coming up, and he's the next CEO. All right, they don't care about these other people. They care about, it's a certain amount of nepotism. They care about their children, making sure they eat. And that's how we are with our family, okay, our nation. He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. Right? Sometimes you gotta let boys, bump their head, man. It said, a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness. And we're like children to these men. You know what I'm saying? You don't play with your son. You make him, you give him the understanding. You put him in a position where he can go and he can do. All right, this world, hey, you got this recent controversy with the Sesame Street saying, hey, Sesame Street characters, they don't want to hug black kids, and they don't want no fucking weirdo alternative lifestyle Sesame Street characters, man. Some weirdo grown ass man in a costume, you want him to hug and embrace your children. And when you see it, a lot of those clips were the nigger woman, of course. Right? That's why you should have a man in your house, man. Hey, we wasn't meant to, in the ancient world, you didn't grow up watching cartoons and sitting up on Saturday until 1 p.m. eating cereal and milk and you know what I'm saying? Like I said, watching cartoons and all this other folly and bullshit. You got all these other fictional universes and all this shit that Jake learned. No, you were learning, you were receiving understanding. Right? The scripture talks about the schoolmaster. It talks about teachers. Right? Yeah, we were mentored so that like King David. Right? So at a certain age, when it was time to be a man, you were about your business. Right? One thing I noticed, a lot of these people who are very smart is because they were worked with from the time that they were very young, and they were forced to be disciplined, and they were forced into it, and so when they get older it just becomes easy. All right, you think of Kobe, you think of MJ, you think of all these different athletes who are a carnal example of that. Right, so how much more for us? We're laboring for a crown, man. This is for the whole entire world. This is for everything. You think this is gonna be easy? You think we're gonna be able to just figure these men out in a couple of years? And yeah, we figured everything out. Here it is. These men have been laboring for 30-something years and 20-something years, and you just gonna figure everything out, huh? No, man. It's always more to learn. Right? Hey, the elder Big Gad, he just broke that down, up here in Great Millstone, Chicago, man. He was teaching class and giving us understanding on that, man. We're always learning. Should always be learning. Should always be growing in the faith. Right? The things that we experience and the chastening and the hardships should boost your faith. Right? Because the Lord delivers us through these situations. It says, verse 10, laugh not with him, lest thou hast sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth, exactly, and wink not at his follies. All right, so all this bullshit with, they letting these kids just run around and do whatever the fuck. All right, these NBA young boys and all these little niggas, man, that shit is off. That's why these niggas end up in prison or dead before they even reach 20 years old, right? Your Juice Worlds and all these different other examples, man. That's what you seeing that in prime time right now. These young rap artists and niggas with no discipline, right? Because they've had nothing but liberty in their youth, and then they get to a certain age and they don't know how to think, they don't know how to be disciplined, and they don't know how to carry themselves. Right? They carry themselves their whole life as a nigga because they were raised by niggas, and then eventually the Lord put that judgment on them and they get their ass smoked. Right? Your King Vons and FBG Duck, all these niggas. They were raised in that shit. They were raised in gang banging. They were raised in that bullshit. Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, so bring sorrow to thine heart. Right? Hey, as a young man coming into this faith, what does it say? Wherewith a young man cleanse his way? Yeah, you might go through some hardships. You might go through some counsels, right? You might, have brothers telling you about your character and how you need to improve on things and how you need to change, this and that. And you might hear that from men. Right? Hey, brothers might not rush to be your friend, rush to want to chill with you, man, because they have to prove you and they have to see you, go through situations and process things. And you know what I'm saying? The scriptures talk about, a man's speech basically shows what he is, man. We got to hear you talk. We got to hear you process things. We got to hear you, in your up, in your down, all these different things. All right, it says, chastise thy son and hold him to labor, lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee. So there you go. And this is the way that we always were, but we lost it. We got soft. That's what you see now, man. A bunch of men raised by women, which don't last too long. Scriptures say, short days. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Get a little bit more. All right. Hey, this is Tobit 5, and I said I'm gonna jump to verse 16. All right, because the son, which the story is about him finding a woman and releasing the demon that was off of her. So it's a love story. It's Tobit 5 and 16. It says, so they were well pleased. Then said he to Tobias, prepare thyself for the journey, and the Most High sends you a good journey. And when his son had prepared all things for the journey, his father said, go thou with this man, and the Most High, which dwelleth in heaven, prosper your journey, and the angel of the Most High keep you company. So they went forth, and the young man's dog with them. But Anna his mother wept and said to Tobit, why hast thou sent thy son away? Is he not the staff of our hand in going in and out before us? Be not greedy to add money to money, and let it be as refuse in respect of our child. For that which the Lord hath given us to live with doth suffice us. All right. Then said Tobit to her, take no care, my sister, he shall return in safety, and thine eyes shall see him. All right, so basically, the son, he said he was like a staff in their hand, because he did so much for his parents. He honored his father and his mother, and she cried. She didn't want to see him go. Right? And that's what we're coming to, man. The scriptures talk about men that stood so stiffly. All right, hey, this fight is ultimately given unto us as men, right? For us to endure, for us to embrace. It's not always going to feel good, but the Lord put these men in front of us as teachers for a reason. And that's just the truth, man. The truth is never going to change. That's just what it is, right? So all apostles or all elders or all whatever position, no. Okay? All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shah, Lord, with his edifying shalom.